Welcome to Ask the Expert. We're so glad you've joined us. I think this is like our 18th episode. It's hard to believe we've had a pandemic that's lasted so long. We've been able to do this every other week for 18 weeks. But I wanted to thank you for coming to this week's episode. We have a return guest this week, Susie Adib, see her? And Susie is with Liberty Mutual. And today we're going to talk about pet insurance. Hi, Susie. Can we hear you? We're going to talk about pet insurance because so many people have adopted pets or gotten new dogs or cats. I even know somebody who adopted a parrot. So that's something that's been, one of the positives, I think, of this crazy year we're in. And we're getting a lot of questions about animals in the house and fences and yards and exercise. And you'd be amazed the people who contact me, their realtor, with pet questions. So I thought, let's have Susie on to talk about pet insurance. And it seems like it resonates because we've already gotten questions from several people. So again, Susie Adib with Liberty Mutual is here joining us today. This topic is near and dear to her heart because Susie has fostered many dogs, right, Susie?
Yes, I volunteer with Homeward Trails and I fostered a lot of puppies, and it's always been a great joy to do anything I can to help them.
Susie is a dog and cat mom. So
yes.
Her little fur babies. And then, of course, I've had cats in my life. Right now, we have one dog. And then Jennifer, many of you have met Finnegan. He's sort of our office mascot. When we're in the office, he's welcome there every day and gets like pounds and pounds of treats. So we're very dog and animal friendly at McInerney and in our personal lives and offices. So I also wanted to say about Ask the Expert that we bring this to you every other week, roughly, with some breaks for holidays and so on, because we want to expose you to good businesses. We want to expose you to good information. And we're big believers in local business. I'm a local business. McInerney is a local business. We believe in local business. A lot of times when the economy takes a downturn, it does so and survives on the backs of local businesses. And there's so many good local businesses out there we wanted you to be aware of. Plus, we figured we could bring good information to help you with some problems or questions you might have. And I really appreciate that people are starting to reach out to us and say, could you cover this topic? So keep the ideas coming. We are so happy to be able to interface with great experts, and we learn along the way too. So thank you for that. I want to give a real quick update about the DC real estate market. It is just cranking away. Here we are on December 1st, and it feels like April. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because we have such a good topic, but interest rates are ridiculously low. They went up a little and they came back down a little, and they continue to add fuel to this housing market, which moves at a fevered pitch. We're still seeing multiple offers in a lot of sectors of the market. There are a couple of sectors that are having a little problem, and I think that has more to do with people wanting to get out of apartments and condos and get more space. But generally, everything is moving very quickly, multiple offers in a lot of cases, and very few days on the market. So we've got some interesting listings coming up of all types, condos, houses, and townhomes. And if you have questions about your neighborhood or your house or an area you're interested in, please reach out to me. So I'm always happy to do research for you and have a discussion with you. In fact, that's how I started my day today, and I've got another one of those this afternoon. So again, thank you for joining us. Do not keep us a secret. Please tell friends or family who you think might be interested in the topic about this Ask the Expert, and stay tuned for other ones. So we're happy to share with you today, and without delaying any further, I want to go ahead and get into some questions. So Susie, thank you again so much for first of all, being with a company that puts a value on our little furry members of our families. I'm so pleased that Liberty Mutual has a policy. And then you also act as a broker for another company, right?
Right. And thank you so much for having me on again. These are always great shows that you do. So I love being a part of it and help any way I can. But yes, so Liberty offers their own line of pet insurance. And then I'm also a broker. So I have another carrier, Hartville, who also provides pet insurance as well. So it's great to have an option of providing more than one carrier.
That's great. Yeah. And you're going to tell us a little bit about that. I know this sounds a little silly, but I thought we could start out with a really basic question, which is, I think pet insurance is a great idea, and I think it's come a long way in the last like 10 to 15 years. I, for whatever reason, have had several pets who have had lifelong diseases we've had to work with, and I'm so glad that there are plans like this out there for people. So could you tell us a little bit about what pet insurance is?
That's a great question because I get it a lot, and some, not a lot of people are familiar with it. And it's great that you've had that experience. So if you think of pet insurance, think of it like your health insurance. It's going to cover the same kind of things, like when you go to the doctor, your pet's going to go to the doctor. So you have three basic types of plans. You can do accident only, you could do comprehensive, which is going to cover congenital problems, hereditary issues you might have, and any other diseases that the pet might have that they have to go to the vet. And then also preventative care, which is going to be going to the vet for their regular checkup. So if you're familiar with Petsmart, has their own brand of pet insurance, and they're a great company. My cat goes to Banfield for her health. And their pet insurance covers then that going to those visits. It's the doctor visits, the shots that you have to get all the time. The benefit of these policies is that you could do accident only, or you can do the more comprehensive and then add on that preventative care as well. So you have it a more complete package for your pet. And it's also going to cover those emergency visits that are always really expensive, that nobody wants to have to do in the middle of the night or on a weekend when you can't get into your regular vet. So those costs are covered as well.
That's awesome. So, I mean, really that covers the spectrum. And you gave a great example to me when we were talking about this earlier, and you told us about your dog, Murphy, right? And Murphy, you got one particular kind of coverage for him, right?
Right. So Murphy, I adopted older. He was 15 when I adopted him. I got him this summer. A lot of people have been adopting pets this summer, but he was 15. And because of his age, getting the full spectrum of insurance on him didn't really make sense. There were a lot of things that would come up in the future that I don't know that I would have spent all that money on him to if you look at his life, and then, what's it going to be like if he had to go through all these surgeries and things like that. So for Murphy, I only got accident only. So accident only for him was less than $30. It was about like $26 a month. And then if he gets injured, he falls down and breaks something, or he gets injured by another animal, or gets out on the street and gets hit by a car, it's going to cover that emergency visit and any accidents or injuries that he's going to get from that accident. But the full comprehensive package for him just didn't make sense financially, or just even for his, health and well-being.
Right. I mean, he's pretty healthy at 15, but that's impressive age for most dogs. So
yes.
But I love that he could get coverage. I wanted to ask you, I'm gonna sort of skip ahead. I was just thinking of another question, but we because we're touching on the age issue because of Murphy, I think this is a great time to say a lot of people have the misconception, and I was one of them, that you have to get the policy when you get a puppy. So if you're adopting, people think that they can't, or if you have an older animal and you've decided, now I want to get insurance, can you do that? So a couple of questions like about age, the background of the animal, and what if you decide later, I've had this animal for a while and I think I want to get insurance and I didn't do it earlier.
No, those are great questions. And a lot of people have that misconception. So of course, it's always going to be best to get it as a puppy because it's going to cover anything that would come up. But you can add it on at any time. The insurance is based on the health of the animal and the age of the animal. So if you look at, how big, what kind of dog, what breed is it? We're going to look at what are things that happen often. So if it's a larger breed dog, they're going to factor in the option for hip dysplasia, which is common in those larger breed dogs. Labs get that thing where their stomach twists. Those are things that are going to come in play with the breed, or it could just be a mix. If you don't know what it is, mix is an option. And then, for puppies, it's always great because you have those vet visits with the shots and going more often than with an older dog. But like I said, with Murphy, he was 15. So for me, it didn't make sense financially when I looked at his rate because of the breed that he is and his life expectancy. He was on the higher spectrum. So it was over $300 a month for him for the full complete package, including the preventative care. But him as a puppy was less than $50 a month. I think it was like 40 if I would have gotten it when he was a puppy. So it just depends on the age of the animal, but always look into those options. You could do accident only and preventative, which is covering those vet visits. You can add that on if you choose to. So you can mix and match the coverages and packages to whatever fits your budget and however it works for you and your family.
So I really like hearing that. People were excited about this topic, and you never know what's going to resonate with people. I mean, we've covered plumbing, and we're going to cover mold, and you never know. But we got some questions up front, and one of our professional friends, actually, an estate attorney who we've had on here before, she does elder care law, and she's fantastic. She has a 7-year-old Brittany, and she wanted to make sure she could get coverage. And I was like, well, I know now from talking with Susie that she can. And of course, she can reach out to you and get a quote, but it's not too late. So for those of you watching, if you've got questions, just contact Susie. I know, because she's one of our experts, that she's always happy to have a conversation with you. So, even after this, if you want to run something by her. And then Jennifer, thank you. Jennifer just put up some examples of rates, and we're going to talk a little more about that later too, but this is really helpful to see.
And this is a great screen to put up, because this is so Murphy's a Wheaten Terrier. He's a medium-sized dog, about 40 pounds. So I use that as my base. So this is a 4-year-old dog. I did this at 4 years old. This is the preventative that I was telling you about. You have basic and prime. So you have different things that's going to cover, like the dental exam, the rabies shots, Bordetella. If you're going to board your dog often, I do recommend the prime, because it's going to cover that boarding shot that you're going to need to get if your dog goes to doggy daycare or gets boarded quite often. And that's through Hartville. And then the one to your left is through Liberty Mutual. And then those are the 3 different plans: the accident and illness, and then accident, illness, and their wellness plan, which is the preventative. So like I said, you can mix and match, and even mix and match between 2 companies if you want to.
This is so good. Thank you. I appreciate that you sent it and Jennifer put the slide together. I've got another question, a little departure from this exact line of questioning, but I know we're talking about dogs and cats, and I mentioned somebody who recently adopted a parrot. She got an African gray, and we have some other clients who have exotics. Do any of these plans cover exotics?
No, they only cover cats and dogs. We don't have anything in place that cover more exotic animals right now. I'm sure in the future, as pet insurance evolves, that's something that'll probably come down the line. But right now, it's not an option that we have.
And I wonder too if it'll evolve, because the carriers will see, wow, pets have made such a difference in people's lives, and more important than ever, I think they're, we've always known that they bring comfort and they can help people in so many ways, but I mean, I have a hard time believing that something like a lizard could, but it probably can for some people. I like lizards. I just don't think of them as warm and fuzzy like my cute little dog. Okay, well, thanks for answering that. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more detail about the different types of coverages and policies, and we talked about the 3 main categories. And really, there isn't a one size fits all, which you've explained, and that's really helpful. But there are a lot of people, more and more, who, like us humans, I mean, I think that Wayne and I probably give Raleigh a better diet than we eat. But we're interested in holistic care. We're interested in you talked about preventative. We're interested in acupuncture and massage. And we got a specific question from another one of our viewers about holistic treatment coverage. And if you could go into a little more detail on how that might be covered and what somebody needs to be mindful of.
Yeah, that's a great question. So pet insurance, the way our plans are worked is that you go to your vet, vet recommends either treatment of any kind. So the vet can recommend you going to a trainer, something holistic, massage, chiropractor, hydrotherapy for your pet. Whatever the vet recommends is what the insurance will cover. So the way it works is that just like your health insurance, you have a deductible, and it can go from $100 as high as $1,000, depending on which product you choose and how much you want it to be. You cover that first expense, and then you're reimbursed for the rest. There are different annual maximums you can choose. Hartville has more options. Liberty Mutual has, I believe, 3. And you can go as high as I think it's 5,000, 10,000 unlimited with Liberty Mutual, and there's more options with Hartville ending in unlimited. So you have those options of how much you want to spend each year Once that max is reached, then you're responsible for anything out of pocket, but it still gives you a good swing of what you want to cover for your expenses. But as long as the vet recommends the therapy, I had one customer, his dog was licking and chewing on things. He was mouthing, chewing up shoes, furniture, and he was taking them to the vet because he was swallowing those pieces. And the vet recommended training for the dog, a specific trainer for the behavioral part. And it was covered because it was something that was causing, the vet recommended it. And the vet recommended it because he was eating everything and it was causing him harm.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I mean, I get questions sometimes. People will say, I remember once I had somebody call me because their collie was very, what do you call it? Separation anxiety.
Yes.
And had freaked out one day when they left and smashed through the sliding glass door and injured itself and of course broke the door. The glass. And so, that's great to know these kinds of things can be covered.
Well, yeah, because those kind of behavioral problems cause injury to the pet. So if they can prevent them by handling that behavioral issue, then it's better for the animal and of course for the vet as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Well, really good to know. And, we have, like, I sometimes recommend dog walkers. I mean, it's funny, like the people you come into contact with that, might be house or home related, though not specific to real estate. And, for those of you out there watching, if you're in an area where you love your dog walker, you love your vet, you worked with a holistic provider, we'd love to hear about it. You could, post it on Facebook and share that information with other people. Earlier this year, I had somebody contact me looking for a doggy acupuncturist, and I reached out to my dog walker and a couple other people who I thought might know. So if you're hearing this and it's resonating with you, or you've got a good service provider, please let us know.
And that's a great point I just wanted to mention as well. With this insurance, you can use any provider you want. You don't have to go to a network. It's whoever you want to go to because you're getting reimbursed directly. So I just wanted to make sure I wanted to mention that as well. That's your vet that you're currently using. You don't have to change vet. You don't have a network of people to use.
Well, that's better than human insurance.
It is. It really is.
And network. That's great. So I have a funny question that it's kind of related, but we get all kinds of questions about insurance and what's covered, right? And so does pet insurance cover something like if your pet bites or scratches someone else or another animal, or is that covered under like your umbrella insurance or your, I called it people insurance, but is that not part of your pet insurance? So how would that work?
Right. So your pet insurance covers, just like your health insurance, the dog or cat's health. If they injure somebody or cause any injury to a person, it's going to be covered under your homeowner's policy under the liability. If you have an umbrella policy, which you should definitely carry, it protects all of your assets, but it would cover you there as well. So depending on, I always recommend it for anybody with pets. I always recommend it for anyone with assets so that they want to have protected and covered above their homeowner's insurance.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. And Susie, like, as people are out there thinking, maybe there are people watching who are like you, they adopted an older dog, or they've had their dog for a long time and never had insurance on it. When they're out there looking, what would you recommend they look for, or questions they should ask a provider? Or, if they were to call you, things they should ask you or that you might raise with them?
So the things that aren't covered on the pet insurance are going to be things like anything that's a pre-existing condition, just like your health insurance. So anything that you've already been treated for won't be covered. Breeding costs. If you want to get a dog because you want to breed it, any cost associated with that isn't going to be covered. And any cosmetic changes. So if you're going to get a dog where you want to cut their ears or dock their tails, those things aren't covered. So you want to look for what are those exceptions that aren't going to be covered. You want to have a policy that's going to be a little bit more comprehensive and cover anything that comes up, even if it's something that the dog was born with but never treated for. You want to make sure that can still be covered. You want to make sure there's no exceptions to what it's going to treat, other than, like I said, those are the three main things that we don't cover, and most carriers are similar with that.
So no doggy plastic surgery.
No doggy plastic surgery. You can't give them false eyelashes or liposuction.
Hey, people do it on their cars now. They do it on their cars. So I would hate it if I saw that on a dog. That's good info. Thank you. And I guess, I've been amazed at how much better the coverages are just in the last few years.
Mhm.
And I can only imagine that they'll continue to improve even further, but it's amazing to me the broad spectrum of coverage you can get now. And it really sounds like it does all boil down to, as long as your vet recommends it, you can probably get reimbursed for it, depending on your plan.
Exactly.
So I've been amazed at some of the things I've heard. I have a client who's a federal agent, and she's a dog handler. She has a very special dog who's had very expensive government training. And I remember the dog injured itself and had to have surgery. And the surgery and the rehab for the dog was over $1 million. You can imagine what kind of dog. I mean, it was a very, very special dog.
Well, and they put a lot of money into training that dog.
They put a lot of money in, so they were protecting their investment.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you think about, I mean, it's so nice to know that your family member that you love has a problem, and it doesn't have to come down to money for you.
Right.
It could be, I can take care of my furry little buddy, and I don't have to worry. I don't have to make that decision. My God, his surgery is going to be $15,000. And it will save his life, but how am I going to come up with the money? I mean,
well, and animals get diseases like humans do. So dogs get seizures, and they get diabetes, they get cancer, and those are all very expensive diseases that you have to think, how much will I spend? I had a customer who their dog had gotten cancer, and this is before she had met me, but she spent $30,000 on that dog to have him go through chemo and all of the surgeries, because at the time, pet insurance wasn't that big and that popular at the time. So we got it for her new puppy. But it does come up.
Yeah, it's so nice to take the pressure off yourself and not have to have it come down to dollars for, a little being that you love. This is a really, really good lead in to my next question, which is, and we did touch on it before, but what does a fairly typical monthly premium for a cat or a dog look like? You answered with the, oh great, now my dog is giving input into this, so sorry.
He feels very strongly about pet insurance.
The mail comes. Anyway, Jennifer knew where I was going with this. What it's sort of typical plan looks like. And, maybe we could talk a little bit about, cat plans, I guess, are a little bit less, right?
Right.
And then is there this is going to sound silly, but is there a multiples discount, or no? It's not like, hey, I have 3 dogs and I'm doing 3 policies with you, or it's not like your car, is it?
So there is. You do get a discount with the more number of animals you have. And you'll get a discount if it's, say, you have a cat and a dog. You'll still get that I guess, pet discount is what you want to call it. But what Jennifer put up was Gracie is my cat. She's also very old. I had her since she was a kitten. She's 19 now. But this is the cost of a 1-year-old. I did 1 year just for a general. This is a 1-year-old cat. So you have the accident only, the full illness, and then illness and wellness through Liberty Mutual. And then if you look on the bottom, this is where I was mentioning the maximum. So each year for Liberty Mutual, you can do 5,000, 10,000, or 15,000. That's their max. And then what you customize is your deductible. So what are you comfortable paying out of pocket? And then you get reimbursed for the difference. So say your bill is $3,000 and you chose a $500 deductible. You'll get reimbursed $2,500, and it'll go back to your however you pay your checking account. And then you're reimbursed 70, 80, or 90% of whatever that bill is. And that's how it works. The one to the right is Hartville. And you can do this, the basic monthly, which is the full comprehensive. I added the preventative care in there as well. So for a total, it's $33. So each carrier has their specialties and their differences. So it does make a little bit of a difference.
That's helpful too, that you explained in a practical sense how the reimbursement works, because come here, Rally. I was going to show everybody Rally. That was a question for viewers. So this is my little punk.
Oh.
This is Rally, everybody.
Hi, Rally. He's so cute.
10-year-old Brittany Spaniel. And he looks real serious, but he's a real goofball. Okay, see you later, Rally. Thanks for protecting the house. Okay. So thank you for answering about the reimbursement.
So yes, this is what Jennifer put up was how you could do it. So you go to any clinic you want, emergency, vet, specialist, whoever you choose. You submit the claim online. There's an app on your phone. You can mail it in or fax it, and then you're reimbursed directly however you pay. And that's one of my foster puppies that I fostered.
Oh, so cute. So cute. Didn't you say the app is probably the quickest way to get reimbursed?
It is, because you just scan your receipt up and they reimburse you within 48 hours.
And obviously you work for Liberty Mutual, you can broker for Hartville, but do you think that's pretty common practice now across the board? Is that most?
Yes. Whichever carrier you're working with, it's whatever, they'll tell you which one will get you paid faster. I do know mailing it in, then they have to mail you a reimbursement check. That does take the longest.
Okay. Susie, because I always love the real life stories. I love a success story. Will you give us a real life story of how the insurance helped one of your clients?
Yeah. So this was a few years ago. I had Hartville was my only option at the time. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. I had a customer who had just gotten a puppy over the summer. So at the time, the dog was about 8 to 9 weeks old. So just a few months old. And then we did the pet insurance because she had just gotten this new puppy. She was buying a home. That's how I met her. And so she called me around Christmas time. She was putting up Christmas decorations. She had a lab, the dog was a lab, and he ate the Christmas decorations, the entire string of lights. So she had to rush him to the emergency room.
Stomach.
Oh, he had an iron stomach. He went right through him. And it was funny because she had mentioned she had gotten the ones that don't break. So they didn't shatter, thank God, but he still swallowed the entire line, the entire string. And so she took him to the vet, and it was late at night. So she went to the emergency clinic and they did the operation to remove the lights because they were afraid of it passing the whole way through. So that entire expense was covered with her pet insurance, and she had Hartville at the time, which had a lower deductible. It was only $100 deductible. So for all of that, and I want to say that surgery cost somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a lot of money. And her deductible was only $100, so she only paid the first $100, and she was reimbursed for 90% of that bill.
That's incredible. I mean, and that was at Christmas when it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have an extra $4,000 or $5,000 to just, throw out the window. But of course, you're going to save your pet if you can, right? So,
right. And you have those decorations up, and of course, everybody's decorating. You don't expect the dog to eat the lights.
No, I wouldn't. Although if there was a breed I would expect to do it, it would be a lab. So.
It would be a lab.
They have the iron stomachs. Maybe that's why their stomachs flip, because their stomachs get. But that was a good story. I think it's true too what you said. Of course it was at night because our animals always decide to get sick or have an emergency at night or weekends when we can pay the emergency rates.
Right.
So they're in cahoots with the emergency vets, So anyway, that was my last question. I don't know, Jennifer, sometimes you're watching in the background if we got any other questions, or if you've got something that was sent to us ahead of time that we could answer for somebody.
We did. We got a couple of questions in the comment section of the Facebook feed.
Great.
And one is asking about, are there any breeds that are excluded in coverage? That's from Dan Stallings.
Oh, that's a great.
No, you can cover any breed animal. And like I said, if it's a mix, it could be a mix as well. It doesn't have to be a purebred, but any breed is covered.
Good to know.
And just to repeat, he wanted to make sure that you had said that pre-existing conditions are not covered.
Right. So it has to be, whatever the issue is, they have to have not been treated for 6 months. So say, for example, your dog has seizures. And it's something that, you wouldn't go 6 months without giving them medicine or be letting them see the vet. So that wouldn't be something that it wouldn't be covered if they had that ahead of time. But if they never been treated for the illness, maybe it's something that they're born with, then you would still have the coverage as long as it's never been treated in the past by your vet.
Okay, good. Any others, Jennifer? I think Jennifer went on mute, so maybe that was it. I'm not sure.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, good. I know we had some ahead of the Ask the Expert beginning, so I incorporated those. So thanks everybody for sending your questions last night and today. We really appreciate it. I think what we'll do is, well, let's do this. This is very important. Let's show our puppies. So Susie, you want to say who the handsome guy on the left is?
Yes, that is my Murphy. He is a soft-coated Wheaten Terrier, and I adopted him. That is right when I adopted him. He's 15 years old. I've had him since July. I have since cut the hair in front of his face because he really couldn't see. It wasn't just that there was hair. He just can't see.
You would never, ever guess that that dog is 15 years old.
No, he acts like a puppy.
He's amazing. The very distinguished fellow in the center, Rally, who you met earlier, and he looks very regal there, and I assure you that is a complete false image he's presenting, because he's the biggest goofball that there is. And then Jennifer, who do we have on the right?
Finnegan. Finnegan and his sock monkey.
Yeah, Finnegan and Sock Monkey. You've seen him maybe on our Instagram and some other things. He sort of runs the office for us. So anyway, we don't have any of our kitties up, but maybe we can do that another time. I want to thank you again, Susie, for coming, for being on our Ask the Expert today. Here's Susie's contact information. Please feel free to reach out to her. She is just a wealth of information. She helps me all the time with clients for their home insurance, and she's great about answering questions for me. And I know she'll do the same for you. She is a true expert and a true professional and a true animal lover. And she has, put efforts out there as a busy mom and busy professional, and she still finds time to foster animals. So that's awesome, Susie. Thanks for doing that. I think it's great.
Thank you for having me again. It's always a great program. I'm so glad I can be a part of it.
Well, we're so glad you could be here today, and I want to thank everybody for watching. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another Ask the Expert and another topic, which we are currently working on. And if you have topics that you're interested in, text me or call me or email me or Jennifer. Just let us know, because it really is fun learning about all this and bringing you the information. And it would really be our pleasure to find a topic and cover one that appeals to you. Please do share, like us on Facebook and YouTube, or whatever you do on YouTube. Subscribe to us and share the information. I think it's really good information, and we're not out there to sell. That's a side benefit, but we're out there to disseminate really good information for our viewers and our clients, and to bring you good professionals and local businesses to expose you to that. So please share our info. If you do know somebody who is looking to buy or sell and wants to talk about different areas, or has questions about the market, please share my information. I would love that. And I want to thank Jennifer for the graphics and for running this Ask the Expert. She does such a good job with that from behind the scenes, like the Wizard of Oz. So Jennifer, thank you. And we'll catch you next time for another episode of Ask the Expert. Take care.
Thank you.